Hey, this is Laura with Living Houston, and welcome to our podcast, Level Up with Living Houston. I can be found on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and I've got my website, livinghouston.com, if you have any questions or want to follow me. Today, I'm here again with Dave, the mortgage guy, and we're going to talk about some interesting topics that we get lots of questions about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. You guys can find me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, maybe, if anyone's still on Twitter.
Yeah.
Hey, if you don't mind, I'm going to hijack your podcast today. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I was thinking about this the other day. A friend of mine, unbeknownst to me, went to a builder without a realtor.
Disaster.
She has had the worst experience. Mm-hmm. Instead of me kind of elaborating on that experience, I wanted to talk to you on why that's such a bad idea.
Oh my goodness. I get questions about this all the time. First of all, I specialize in new construction and certified in new construction. So I'm affiliated with a few different builders. I have really good relationships with them.
Okay.
There definitely are builders that give a better experience and better customer service than others. And in addition to that, I've got several good friends that are salespeople for builders. And so they keep me in the loop. They're always sending us like up-to-date stuff, deals on inventory homes where you can get a great house for really great price. But there's just, people don't realize that buying new construction is not as easy as it seems. So whether you're doing a dirt build, which means you're selecting the lot and the floor plan and building it from scratch.
Okay.
Or you get lucky enough to get an inventory home that matches your taste.
Inventory being like, maybe it sounds redundant, but for those listening, would be one that's already done.
Yeah.
So they did build it. The builder built it. Mm-hmm. It's brand new. No one's lived in it yet.
Right.
And they're trying to sell that. It may be one that somebody else went to build and then they couldn't close on it.
It could be that.
Okay.
What I explain a lot of times is sometimes the general consumer doesn't understand exactly how these new home communities are sectioned off and how they're built.
Okay.
So when a builder bids on some land within a community, so say it's a Johnson development community like Sienna or Harvest Green, something along those lines, you know, somebody like Perry Homes, they'll go in there, they'll bid on a certain piece of land, and then they're allowed to take sections of that land, chop it up, and they want to make as much money as possible on those pieces of land. There's something called the law of repetition, and a lot of people don't realize this unless they've been down this road. And what that means is if you've got 7 floor plans to choose from that you can build in a certain new home construction area, if the person next door already built the floor plan you want, you can't build that floor plan.
Oh, wow. So let's say you're looking at the lot and the house right next door is the model you like, the size you like, the outside you like. You, in theory, could not build that same home.
No, you're not allowed to. Now, they might make an exception. So that's why anytime you choose a house, each floor plan has different elevations to choose from.
Okay.
So like, say you like floor plan 7445, but the person 2 doors down already built that floor plan with elevation A, then now you're going to have to choose from elevation B or C. And if you don't like B or C, that's not their problem.
Right. And elevation being the outside. So like the brick, the stone, the stucco.
The way the front of the house looks.
Okay.
The different arches, certain doors, everything goes by law of repetition. So what happens is you get people, when they first break open a new section of land, they've got all these lots available, and first come, first serve, right? So everybody that gets first dibs on the lot they want, they can pretty much build whatever floor plan they want, however they want it. And then as that section gets built out, let's say we get down to 4 or 5 lots left out of 30. And they're left because nobody really wanted them. There's something probably not that great about these lots. So the builder will take that lot. They'll throw whatever house is available via law of repetition on that. And they throw some upgrades in it. And then they say, boom, here's an inventory home. So, and a lot of times they'll slash the price so you can get it for a really good deal.
Right. Because they're already building it on a lot that people didn't want.
Right. And they want to get that section completely finished out so they can close it off and break open the next section.
Right.
So you can already tell just from what I've said so far, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with a builder that the average person might not know, that could influence how the salesperson is leading or guiding them to make decisions.
Well, and that leads me into my next point. So one thing that I'll hear and some people think is like, hey, I'm going to go out this weekend. We're going to go look at the homes. I don't need a realtor yet. And I'll be honest, if I go without a realtor, I'm probably already going to save your commission out of the sales price. And that's not my thoughts. This is what a lot of people think. Right. And so why is that wrong? That's 100% wrong.
It's 100% wrong because the builder, no matter what builder it is, whether it's a low price point or a luxury builder, semi-custom builder, no matter what it is, they've got a buyer's agent's income or buyer's agent's commission built into that.
So the money's already, so the money's already in the sales price.
It's there.
No matter what. So if you go with no agent or if you go with an agent, that money is still there.
Nothing changes. So if you go in there and say, hey, I don't have an agent, can you take my would-be agent's commission off the price of this house? They're going to be like, no, they will never do that. It's not an option.
Right.
But if you come with an agent, they will take care of the buyer's agent's commission. So if you get represented, which is crucial, guys, you have to get represented. You have to have representation. That way, the salesperson that works for a builder, and this is another key point, these salespeople are not licensed agents. Even if they do have a real estate license, they have to deactivate it in order to work for the builder.
Really? So if you deactivate your real estate license, wouldn't that automatically imply that you're kind of going into a gray area as in representation of the client or whoever?
Right.
Because now they do not want you to follow the strict rules that you guys have to follow, right?
Right. So an agent with a deactivated license that's operating as a salesperson for a builder, they're not held by fiduciary duty. They're not bound by a confidentiality agreement. There's a lot of things that they definitely go into that gray area. And what I hear from so many people is you get in there, you start looking, the salesperson is your best friend. They're going to tell you everything you want to hear, tell you all about the incentives. They're going to create a sense of urgency. This house might not be here next week. This lot might not be here tomorrow. Next week, we're having price increase, so you better make a decision today. They tell you all these things to create a sense of urgency, and they just want you to sign on that dotted line. And no offense to everybody I know that is an amazing new home sales consultant.
Right. We're not implying that builders are bad per se.
No, they're amazing. I love new construction. But you are not represented. It's literally like going to court without an attorney to represent you.
Right.
It's literally how it is.
So, okay, so we got that. Definitely you want a realtor to represent you when you go in. You're going to help with negotiating. You really don't know if you're getting the best deal if you go in by yourself. You have no documentation, no information of what's selling in the neighborhood, in the market, whatever. But let's say you get past that. So you've got the contract. You're about to start building your new home. Do I not need you then for the next 9 months while that's getting built?
Oh, my goodness. No. I've got multiple stories. I represent a lot of people that do new construction.
Yeah.
And there are a ton of little intricacies within the period from the time you sign that document. They're going to break ground and pour the foundation all the way to closing. You are building a house. This is no small feat.
Right.
And number one, I always recommend getting your own inspector. The builder's going to discourage this. You get your own inspector, and usually these inspections on new homes are done in 3 phases if it's a dirt build. So the inspector comes out once the foundation is poured, checks it out, make sure it's good. They come midway through when they're framing out the house and look at everything, and then they come at the end and they do an inspection. Just like if you were buying a resale home and you get an inspection, they do this inspection. And the new home builders, they're like, it's new construction, you don't need it. That is not true. I have so many, not necessarily horror stories. They would have been horror stories if my client didn't have me representing them.
Right.
But one of my clients, the day before closing, brand new inventory home with Weston, gorgeous house in Harvest Green. And luckily they took my advice, had their own inspector come out and do a regular inspection on the home. He found multiple major issues: disconnected hoses from the water heater,
So the
electrical
house
issues.
right?
Yeah, that is correct. And a lot of times what happens is these builders, you go in there for the walkthrough and you're like, all right, well, you guys said you were going to fix that, that, and that. It's not fixed yet. And they'll say, don't worry about it. Let's just get closed. We'll come back. The house is under warranty, so we'll be back later to fix all this stuff. I don't care what builder it is. I don't care what price point. It is a bitch to get them come back out. And now you've just gone through this majorly stressful and emotional process of moving your family and getting settled in a new house. And you think you can finally breathe and resume normal life. And now you've got this full-time job of having to stay on top of these representatives to get them back out there and finish up all these little small details. You didn't spend $500,000 on a house to have it 99% of the way finished.
Well, and the money is the motivating driver to get it done.
Correct.
Right? I mean, like, if you say, hey, I'm not closing on the home until you fix the driveway,
right.
They're going to fix the driveway.
They're going to fix the damn driveway.
Right.
They are going to fix it.
Maybe not fixing it.
They will fix it.
Yeah.
But you need a realtor that can be aggressive. I confess I can be aggressive when it comes to my clients. That says, sorry, this isn't happening. You guys get this right, and then we will close.
Right.
And when it comes to, I don't care what anybody says, even the most level-headed person, they might know what's going on, but you need somebody that advocates for you and goes in and fights for you. And so that's what having representation entails. They're going to make sure that all of that's taken care of.
Well, and throughout the year, you're probably doing, an ungodly amount of new construction home sales versus someone who's building a house. That may be it. They may have never built one before. They'll probably never build another one. That may be their dream home. They're going to be in it forever. Mm-hmm. So they don't know all of these things that, hey, that's not okay. Right? Hey, the crack in the driveway is not okay, or the wrong color. Right. Or you were telling me one story, right? Where they put the wrong floors in and then you made them.
On the entire downstairs.
And you made the builder come in and take them out. I was like, hey, man, that's not what they want.
This happens almost every single dirt build I've dealt with. I walked in. Actually, my client walked in, called me hysterically crying. After work, she was running herself ragged. She was running by this house they were building every day after working a full-time job and having kids, going and checking on the house. She called me. The wrong flooring is all downstairs. And this was good hardwood floors, but it's the wrong color. And so the next day we talked to the builder, of course, and they're like, oh man, yeah, they laid the wrong floor, but listen, we'll make it up to you. We'll throw in, we'll give you a grill outside, or, whatever it is. They're trying to compensate in some way. And
it's costing them much more to take it out than to just give you a grill.
Yeah. And they're also, these builders are being required to stay on schedule. So it's messing with that too. So they're going to catch flack on their end from the person above them. So they're trying to they're trying to kind of sugarcoat it, make it go away. I was like, look, do you want to take their deal and she was like, no, I mean, those are my floors. We're going to live here for 15 years. Those are what I selected to go with my decor and every other thing they've selected for the house, from the paint to the trim to everything in the kitchen. And I said, then you know what? You're getting the floors you asked for and paid for. That was the whole point of building the house. So we had to go in and I was like, no, it's not happening. So we made them remove all those floors and put in the right ones. But it wouldn't have been that easy if she didn't have a realtor as a liaison to go in there and know how to handle it professionally from the beginning.
Right, because a lot of people look at that builder as the end all, right? Mm-hmm. Even though that's not. That's like going to the car dealership and saying, well, I'm absolutely getting the best deal because the car salesman told me that's the best deal you're going to get on that car without negotiating at all.
Right.
Exactly. And it's scary. I think too, when you're designing it, the design center. I think the design center is a ridiculously scary place.
It is. To
go to without a realtor. So if I go to the design center and I want hardwood floors and they told me the hardwood floors are $30,000, are they $30,000? Or as a realtor, you may know, hey, I would have somebody else do them.
after closing,
After
which a lot
closing.
of people do.
Some referrals for a floor guy, maybe a better material.
Yeah.
Because you go in thinking you have to make all these choices and that's it. And so
Well,
I would think the design center has to be super scary,
It is. It's
For-
very intimidating.
very intimidating.
Growing up, my mom, of course, is a very high-end, successful interior designer. She designs,
wow.
yeah, she does Professional Athletes Home in Houston. She's been in countless publications. Her work is phenomenal. So one of the added benefits, just kind of the bonuses that my clients get, is that first appointment at the design center. I have my mom come, and you're getting
Really?
$200 an hour professional designer to come in and help you make your selections.
And there's no charge for that.
No, that's just part of my service. I do that with my resale homes too. She comes in and helps me stage the houses.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So
in theory, she's not doing that for anyone else, right?
no, she's just, we partner. And a lot of times, like, I've got some amazing clients that built a gorgeous, darling home about 18 months ago. And she came to the initial appointment, because those appointments are no joke. They're set in stone. You get 2 or 3 and that's it. You got to decide everything for that whole entire house in basically one appointment.
And they go boom, 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 like cabinets, make a decision. Flooring,
Yes.
make a decision.
Yes.
Countertops, make a decision.
Yeah.
I mean, those are decisions that's way too many all at once.
I mean, no matter what you're spending, but especially when you're building a luxury home and you put the wrong stuff all throughout that house, you're going to get stuck with $1 million house that you can't sell.
Yep.
And I know people that are going through that right now. So when she comes in, she does that. You're basically getting almost like a $2,000 consultation with a high-end designer that's assembling all of your selections for you for this house. So the whole entire thing, goes together. And they ended up hiring her to design the rest of the home. So,
Wow.
and it's stunning, but it's so important, not to mention when you go in there to make these selections, if you're choosing upgrades, they add up.
Oh, they
And
absolutely
then
add up.
each builder requires a different type of additional down payment. In addition to your earnest money, there's an additional amount you have to put down in correlation with those upgrades. And that can get real confusing. Even my most intelligent clients, they still get thrown off. They're like, wait, we have to put down 10% of X amount of the upgrades we're choosing. And, and if the deal falls through, you don't get that money back.
Right. And that's why they do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do start screwing up your own house, you can't just walk away from it.
That's right.
You mentioned Darling, they build a great product,
Mm-hmm.
or a great home. Do you feel that all builders are kind of all the same? Or do you feel like when it comes to certain
No.
price points, and we don't even have to name names right now, guys, but
I'm not naming
and-
names because I've got hookups at a lot of places. And it's honestly, it's not always so much the builder. It's kind of like in real estate. It's not the brokerage, so to speak. It's the individual agent.
individual sales rep
Yeah.
in that example? Okay.
Yes. So you might I've got people that, for instance, with Weston or Ashton Woods or, Village or David Weekley, they've had amazing experiences. And then I've got ones that have had nightmares.
Yeah.
So, everybody is different. There definitely are builders that have a better track record than others. Perry Homes, I've never had a bad experience with them. Everybody has, and everybody raves about them. And that's been my experience.
No, I know 2 of their sales reps who I think are just
Yeah.
super stand up, really care about the client.
Yeah.
The one, he even goes to all of his closings. I mean, the guy is awesome.
Yeah.
But that would be something that unless you're amazing at doing your own research, the number one advisor is going to be the realtor who's selling more of those different products that say, guys, look, this builder does a great product. I don't think that they do, or resale, right? That's a whole nother topic. Some of them are going to build a better product. So when it comes time to resale, you see that
They
value.
hold their value better.
They
it's
hold their
just
value.
like with a car.
Yep.
Not to always reference cars, but
Yeah.
I grew up in the car business, so it's kind of like I default to that.
It's an easy one, I think. It's probably the biggest purchase besides the car.
True.
Right? Is the home. So it's a great example.
Yeah. So, there are certain houses. It's one of the top 5 questions I get if I'm showing resale homes. Actually, probably top 2 or 3. The first person that the buyer the first question the buyer asks is, who was the builder? It doesn't matter if it was a 50-year-old house. Who was the builder? They just want to know.
Yep.
And those builders have reputations. So that does make a difference. And then my relationship, as far as within my own network, my relationship with all the different new home sales reps out there, one thing that's amazing, and I'm not going to name names or builders, but I get the inside hookup. I get a lot of intel on what's going on with pricing and availability with these houses. So on these inventory homes, which I referenced earlier, like why they build them the way they do, they need to move this inventory. This inventory is sitting on the builder's books and they want it moved.
That's costing them money.
They want to build out these sections. They want to close that shit down and they want to move down the road to their next project. And I will get emails weekly of gorgeous inventory homes, and the salesperson is telling me there's X amount of negotiation on this house. Sometimes it's like 40 grand on a $400,000 house that I know going into it, I can get this deal for my buyer, for my client.
But if I go in without you, do you think that salesperson is going to tell me right away, hey man, we'll knock off 40 grand for you just for coming in today?
Hell no.
Right.
No.
Yeah, because they know they got a sucker.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, very much so.
Now, let me ask you, if somebody's like, hey, this Saturday is Sunday, man, we're going to go look at new construction homes. Mm-hmm. Why is it a bad idea or a good idea to go, let me look at some neighbors. We're just going to drive. Not a big deal. We're going to pick up flyers.
Ooh.
And then when I get a better idea, then I'll call you.
Okay.
Why is that either a really good idea or a really, really bad idea?
So once I have a consultation or I know that I'm working with somebody, I guide them on this. So they're prepped and they're ready.
Okay.
They're kind of like prepped and they've been trained to go to war. And I'm going to tell them, when you go into these houses, this is what's going to happen. Some of them have not listened to me. I will not lie. I have had clients text me at 8:00 on a Saturday and say, we're scared to tell you this, but we just signed a contract. Now they put me down as the realtor, but the salespeople got a hold of them.
Oh, you weren't there.
No.
So there was no negotiation.
Exactly. There's no negotiation. And now they're like, what did we do? So one of the biggest things that people have to keep in mind is like millions of dollars are spent on the psychological study of how to get somebody to purchase something. And these builders are experts at it. What they spend on those model homes, like for instance, Darling and a lot of different of these builders, the scent that is in the home has been hand selected through scientists to know that it's going to appeal to a certain demographic or of people.
It's the warm cookie approach, right?
Yes.
Man, if I walk in, it already smells like home.
Yeah.
Right? You walk in, there's cookies and
scent. What's funny, whether it's new home or resale, scent is the number one deterrent, or it's the number one thing that will bring someone in on buying a house. Yes. So you can have a gorgeous house, everything's perfect. If it smells, they won't even make it past the front door. So this is known by these builders and they spend so much money on it. And then the way it's decorated, there was psychological study gone into why certain things were put in that house, why the sofa was put a certain way. It's no joke. So when you walk in there and you haven't been prepped and you don't know what you're expecting, if you're a normal person, you're going to get romanced by all of this. And a lot of times you cave. So if you want to go shop and you want to go look around, number one, have a realtor that you have interviewed and you've secured them, you've hired them to represent you. Go in, and when the salesperson approaches you, you say, we've got a realtor. And they'll say, awesome. Sign in with their name. And from that point on, that salesperson is going to approach you differently for the entire process.
Because you can't, and tell me if I'm wrong here, and this is what I've heard, you can't go in without a realtor, forget their name, I haven't decided yet, whatever it is.
Right.
And then a month later say, hey, I have a realtor. Because they're not going to talk to you guys. Because at that point, you weren't representing them and they already have the client. Like you can bring a realtor in to help advise you, but there's nothing you can do because they've already signed themselves up. So don't even, I mean, really, I'm going to jump in and probably take the words out of your mouth, but decide on your realtor before you even go out there.
Or if you go look, just tell them, yeah, we have a realtor. We're not giving you their name yet. Just say you have a realtor.
Okay, and then that would be good enough
Say
to
you have
kind of hold the spot?
representation. You don't have to give them your name. If you go in there, they're gonna, they're gonna swoop in and they're gonna start their thing that they do to try to, scrub you and vet you. And
they're gonna bake me cookies, apparently. Right? that's their go-to.
Yeah. So they're gonna do that, and you just say, "Hey, we got a realtor. We'd love to hear you tell us about the home and hear the incentives and all that, but we've got a realtor." So, and then you can go from there and decide. But I'm just telling you guys, if you're looking at new construction, you guys need to get a realtor to represent you. I don't care if you're spending $100,000 or $2 million, you need a realtor to represent you. But that also brings us to something else that I really want to touch on.
Yes, ma'am.
When you go talk to these builders, they are going to tell you that if you use their in-house lending, you're getting certain incentives.
Right.
There are certain incentives that you get no matter what. I don't care what they tell you. And then there's certain incentives that they'll say, if you use our lender, you're going to get $3,500 in closing costs or whatever it is. And I want to know, coming from you as a mortgage banker, what can you do to match that or even beat it?
Yeah, a lot of times, if they've got you in a corner, they're doing it on purpose, right? So they may say $35,000 of upgrades to the house if you use our lender. And as you pointed out, that's
typically you get those upgrades. I'm telling you right now, if they try to tell you that, it's not true. The upgrades for the home are a separate entity than the upgrades for the lending process.
Correct. Right. Because there is not $35,000 of income from a mortgage to even do that. So it's really a trick to have them control everything. Many times the incentive will be tied to the rate, which is I'm going to pay $3,000 in closing costs, but you're taking a higher rate, right? I saw that the other day. We'll pay $3,000, but the rate was much higher than what market rate would be.
Somewhere, something.
Right. They'll get you. They also do it because then they control everything. Let's say there's a problem with your loan, right? Well, they're not looking out for your best interest. They're looking out for the builder.
Right.
So there's times where we had one not too long ago where they said it could get done. Hey, the loan's fine. And then they denied it. They denied it so far into the process, the client had no other choice. It was too far in to get them out of the contract.
Right.
I jumped in and was able to get them closed on it. But they're doing that because they're taking really control of everything they possibly can to kind of put you in a pickle. No matter what they offer, you want to shop around.
Right.
Make sure the rate is worth what it's worth. And a lot of times that incentive, let's say it's $3,000, but you're paying a way higher rate. Well, you're paying way more than $3,000 over 30 years. Right? So you need to do your homework in that regard too. Don't just automatically assume because they tell you, hey, we're a one-stop shop.
Right.
That really means you want to stop at that one spot.
Well, and there's something else that they do. A lot of times you'll see advertisements for new home builders where they're showing their promos for the month or whatever. And it says $10,000 in closing costs paid. If you look closely, it says real small, it says up to $10,000. What that means is they're going to give you somewhere in the vicinity of 10 grand. It could be 2 grand, 4 grand, it could be 10, but usually there isn't even room in somebody's loan fees that they can take 10 grand in closing costs.
Right.
And they will not take it off the price of the house. So it looks like this big number out there that you're getting to use 10 grand. Oh, wow. It brings you in. But in all reality, it might only be $2,500 that they're giving you in closing costs. So, and that's almost super easy for a private lender to beat.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think going back to kind of close this out is if you were shopping for a car, you do your research online, you call a couple of dealerships, you know what you're dealing with, you know what the price is, right? When you go into home building, it doesn't work like that.
No.
You don't have, as a consumer, you don't have any of that intel unless you're working with a realtor, because you also know what they're actually really selling for in that neighborhood. Not even what's available, but what's sold, because you do your homework. So you know, man, the builder just did this on another home. I bet you they'll probably do it for this client too, right?
Yeah. Or if this happens often, I'm like, I look in there and I'm like, who's the salesperson in this office? I'm like, oh, I know them. I call them up and I'm like, yo, give me the real deal. Tell me what's going on. And they'll tell me the truth. They'll say, look, sometimes they'll say, oh, well, this is kind of, this is just some incentives to build some urgency. We're trying to push these houses out. Or sometimes they might tell me, no, legitimately, there is going to be a price increase. And it's no joke, and it's happening.
Right.
And then I know if I, really do need to get my clients to make a quicker decision.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man, that was awesome. Thank you so much for letting me, hijack the podcast and go over this topic. If you're thinking about new construction, look, besides all the information we gave, number one is find the right realtor.
Yeah.
Right? If the realtor doesn't know the communities, doesn't know the area, it's probably not the right realtor.
Right.
Right?
True.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
And stay tuned, guys, for more of these, right?
Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time.